Picture this for a moment. A quiet morning in ancient Athens. Warm sunlight slides across worn stone as merchants arrange their wares. Travelers push through the agora, carrying news from distant lands. Philosophers debate under open skies. And there, at the edge of all this noise and movement, stands a long colonnade painted with scenes of warriors and legends, the Stoa Poikile. People passed it every day, without realizing that this porch would become the birthplace of a philosophy that would outlast cities, governments, and empires. A philosophy forged not in comfort, but disaster, not in privilege, but in loss. Because the man who started all this, Zeno of Citium, didn't arrive in Athens by choice. He arrived by shipwreck. His vessel, heavy with precious cargo, was destroyed in a violent storm. Everything he owned sank into the sea. Imagine that. One moment you're a successful merchant, the next you're clinging to driftwood, watching your entire livelihood vanish beneath the waves. But life has a strange way of revealing truth when everything else has been stripped away. Zeno stumbled into a bookseller's shop, perhaps looking for direction, perhaps simply looking for a distraction from his misfortune. Inside, he picked up a book about Socrates, a man known for questioning everything, including himself. Zeno read, paused, and asked the bookseller, "Where can I find a man like this?" The bookseller simply pointed. That moment didn't just change Zeno's life, it changed history. Zeno studied under various teachers across Athens, absorbing different philosophies, but none of them reflected the deeper clarity he was searching for. A way to live with strength in a world that could take everything from you without warning. So Zeno did something bold. He created his own school of philosophy, and he didn't hide it behind walls or limit it to elites. He chose to teach on the Stoa Poikile, an open porch where anyone could listen: soldiers, traders, rulers, beggars, scholars, the everyday man. That choice mattered. Stoicism was born not as a luxury of the intellectual class, but as a tool for real people facing real hardships. Zeno taught a simple but radical truth. You cannot control fortune. You cannot control the world, but you can control the man within. Virtue, courage, discipline, justice, and wisdom. These were the only things that could never be taken from you. Everything else was temporary. His teachings spread. But philosophies don't survive on the brilliance of one man alone. They need guardians, people who carry the torch when the founder is gone. And Zeno found his torchbearer in Cleanthes of Assos. Cleanthes couldn't have been more different from the typical philosopher. He wasn't wealthy. He didn't come from prestige. He worked manual labor jobs, hauling water by night just to afford the time to study by day. Some mocked him for it, others underestimated him. But discipline doesn't need approval, just persistence. Cleanthes learned from Zeno, not just through words, but through quiet observation. He absorbed the stamina, the humility, the inner composure. And when Zeno died, Cleanthes took over the Stoic school. He strengthened the philosophy by teaching that the universe wasn't chaotic, but ordered, governed by a rational structure. His famous hymn to Zeus wasn't about worshipping a deity. It was about recognizing that life has patterns, meaning, and direction. If a man aligns himself with this order, he lives with stability. If he fights it, he suffers needlessly. But even that wasn't enough. Stoicism needed someone to build its framework, to turn it from teachings into a complete system of thought. And that man was Chrysippus. Today, he's not as well known as the others, but without him, Stoicism may have died in its infancy. Chrysippus wrote extensively, some say over 700 works, and established the logic, ethics, and physics of Stoicism. He turned the philosophy into something durable, structured, and coherent. Think of Stoicism like a fortress. Zeno built the foundation. Cleanthes fortified the outer walls. But Chrysippus designed the architecture so it could stand for millennia. His work ensured that Stoicism wouldn't fade away. It would evolve, travel, and eventually reach the Roman Empire, where it would transform the lives of men who shaped history. One of those men was born into chains. Epictetus entered the world as a slave, denied freedom, denied status, denied autonomy. His body was weak, and he suffered physical injury at the hands of his master. He owned nothing and controlled nothing. Yet within him was a clarity so strong it would rewrite how people understood human strength. From within his bondage, Epictetus saw a truth most free men never realize. You cannot imprison a disciplined mind. You cannot break the man who governs himself. He taught that there are only two categories in life: things within your control and things outside it. Your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, yours. Everything else, not yours. When Epictetus was freed, he opened a school and taught young men to build themselves from the inside out. His student Arrian recorded his words in the Discourses and Enchiridion. These writings traveled through the empire and eventually into the hands of the most powerful man of his time, Marcus Aurelius. Imagine Marcus for a moment, an emperor, the weight of an entire civilization resting on his shoulders. Barbarian invasions pressing against the borders, a deadly plague sweeping through his cities, political betrayal lurking in the shadows of his own palace. And in the middle of all that chaos, he wrote notes to himself, not for public praise, not for legacy, but to stay grounded. Meditations is a private journal, a window into a man battling the pressures of leadership while trying desperately to remain honorable, calm, and just. Marcus didn't use Stoicism for philosophy, he used it for survival. He wrote reminders like, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." You have power over your mind, not outside events. The obstacle is the way. These weren't slogans, they were lifelines. They kept him centered while ruling a world filled with conflict and disease. But before Marcus Aurelius, before Epictetus, before the Stoic philosophy reached its imperial heights, there was another man shaping its moral clarity. Someone who lived in the heart of Roman politics, surrounded by wealth and danger. His name was Seneca the Younger. Seneca was a statesman, an advisor, a playwright, and a survivor of political storms. He didn't speak from theory. He spoke from experience. He had seen ambition corrupt men, fear cripple them, anger destroy them, and desire blind them. His letters and essays remain some of the most accessible and practical Stoic writings ever created. Seneca understood that the real battles in life happen internally. Jealousy, rage, insecurity, impatience, greed, fear. And he wrote to help men confront these forces with discipline and clarity. He taught that no man becomes strong by accident. Strength is trained. Peace is cultivated. Wisdom is earned through consistent examination of oneself. Seneca lived in a world of political traps, whispered conspiracies, and shifting alliances. Yet amid all that danger, he reminded men to practice gratitude, restraint, humility, and courage. It's no coincidence that Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest leaders in history, studied both Seneca and Epictetus. Stoicism shaped him into the kind of man who led with responsibility rather than ego. And when you look at all these men together, you begin to see the unbroken chain that forged Stoicism into what it is today. Zeno lost everything and discovered that character is the only true possession. Cleanthes carried the flame with relentless discipline. Chrysippus built the structure that made the philosophy unshakable. Epictetus turned adversity into the ultimate form of freedom. Seneca brought Stoicism into the heart of Roman power with clarity and courage. Marcus Aurelius embodied it as a leader facing impossible pressures. Different lives, different battles, same mission: to build a man who cannot be controlled by circumstance, a man who is steady in chaos, disciplined under temptation, clear under stress, grounded when life becomes unpredictable. That is why Stoicism has survived for more than 2,000 years, because it answers the question every man eventually asks: how do I stay strong when everything around me is uncertain? Stoicism doesn't promise comfort. It doesn't promise ease. It doesn't promise a life free of suffering. What it promises is transformation. You learn to separate what you control from what you do not. You learn to respond instead of react. You learn to build discipline instead of indulging weakness. You learn to face adversity without collapsing. And slowly, quietly, steadily, you forge yourself, just like the men who carried this philosophy across centuries. And here's the truth most people overlook: Stoicism wasn't designed for the elite. It was designed for the everyday man. The man who works, who worries, who fights private battles, who gets knocked down and has to stand back up. It was designed for men who want clarity in a complicated world, who want strength in an unpredictable life, who want peace without running away from responsibility. Stoicism began on a simple porch in Athens, but it continues today in anyone who chooses to live with intention rather than impulse, discipline rather than distraction, strength rather than surrender. The philosophy started as a response to shipwreck, hardship, slavery, corruption, and the crushing weight of leadership. And now it's here for you. The question is no longer, how did Stoicism begin? The question is, what will you do with it?